Good day to you. I am Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here. It is Monday, the 28th day of August, 2023, and this is the update here for Monday, mainly focusing on Idalia, which will become a hurricane, but we're also going to talk about Franklin. It has strengthened to a powerful Category 4. It, too, will have impacts for potentially Bermuda, which is now under a tropical storm watch, and, of course, it's going to send out very powerful swells into the Atlantic. Surfers are going to really enjoy that, but those swells can lead to rip currents, and that could be very problematic. We just want to make sure people understand impacts and how people and places and things can be updated. So we're going to definitely discuss Idalia, certainly going to talk about Franklin, and then I'm going to talk to you about what we're going to be doing. I'm, by the way, in Orlando, Florida. What are we going to be doing to cover Idalia's impacts along the Florida coast? I will go over that and a couple of odds and ends here and there along the way. Some of this will be happening in real time as graphics get updated. I'm cutting this video, what is it now, 6 minutes after 11 Eastern time. So things are going to be kind of fluid and changeable as we go through. But thanks for joining in and taking a watch and listen to what we've got going on here. Let's first go over to the National Hurricane Center. The latest on Franklin, Category 4. Winds are now 145 miles per hour. Here is Idalia, 990 millibars. This is well on its way to becoming a hurricane, and it is going to be very impactful for Florida. We're going to get to that. First, real quick, though, about Franklin. Tropical Storm Watch, that's the yellow there. Sorry, Howard. Sorry, Jay. A couple of friends of mine over there. Look, it will be far enough away that you won't get hurricane conditions. That's why there's not a hurricane watch posted. But it could be kind of blustery, maybe tropical storm conditions. Nothing you guys can't handle. Bermuda is built strong. But just wanted to have you be aware of that for interest in Bermuda. Also, as I mentioned, Franklin will send out swells. It's doing it now. That will impact basically any beach that faces the ocean, like towards those swells. And I know it's like, well, every beach faces the ocean, Mark. But the beaches that could receive that onshore swell energy, that's what I'm talking about. And it's very unique and different, so be sure to consult your local weather office. You can go to weather.gov, weather.gov, and get that information. And then for the Bahamas and elsewhere, just whatever your local information or somebody at the beach, just ask them. But the swells are a big deal. Please keep that in mind. They are impactful, so be careful. Now on to Idalia here. So tropical storm, winds are up to 65 miles per hour. We've got a lot of these bullet points here. The key messages. Bottom line, let me get back on here. Let's completely forget the cone of uncertainty, the probability cone, whatever you want to call it. In this situation, it is irrelevant. We are going to be talking about impacts. That's all you need to know. And you think of the acronym SWIFT, all right? There is surge, right? You have the freshwater flooding, and you have wind, and you have the possibility of tornadoes. That's all part of it. So the surge, the wind, inland flooding is the IF, and T for tornadoes. There's also downbursts as well. But you just have to think outside of this whole cone thing. And then this word, it. A couple people on Twitter, I don't want to say they were arguing with me, but they were like, you know, it this and it that. It is not forecast to do this or that. So when people say it, they are talking about the center, and they don't necessarily realize it. Oh, it's not coming here. We look at the graphics, it's going up towards Cedar Key. Well, that's the core, and actually the center of the core of the hurricane. That is the it that, unbeknownst to people who say that, that's what they're talking about. What they're not talking about is the rest of it. So let me prove this point just real quick here. Let's take a look at Franklin. Sorry, that's Franklin. And this is what Idalia could look like in a couple of days. Time's running out. We'll get to that. This is it. All right? When people say, oh, it's not forecast to come wherever, they are actually talking about that right there. That is the it that everybody's talking about, even though they don't realize it. But the reality is, this is it. That gigantic wind machine ocean churning machine, rain producing machine. That is the collective it. So let's go and look at the track information real quick for Idalia. All right, this is off of our interactive tracking map over at the HurricaneTrack.com insider site. Crowdfunded, crowd-developed, crowdsourced. It is amazing what we're doing here. So we can zoom in, and you see the cone of uncertainty there. Let's just take that out. All right, let's take the old cone. See ya. Because in my mind, it's not relevant. What is relevant is the impacts, or are the impacts. And anywhere south of the line, all the way down here, you're going to have storm surge. All the way inland over here, maybe even further south than that, you're going to have wind, rain, maybe tornado impacts, and it is going to be severe. This is not the it. So you say, ooh, look at that. It's coming up there where very few people live. Thank goodness. Well, I think a lot of people live in and around Gainesville. Seems to me that there's also a certain university up there. There's also a lot of people that live just inland from the coast, the nature coast. It is a huge piece of energy, and Idalia in this case, is going to be very impactful for a lot of people, including those down here in the Tampa Bay area. This is not a situation like Ian, where it looks like, or Charlie, it might come up here. It, again, the name it, right? Even I get caught into it, right? You remember Ian last year, of course we do, it made a landfall up into here, and everybody up in Tampa, same thing with Irma in 2017, Charlie in 2004. Tampa was saved because a track change resulted in a more favorable outcome. In this situation, unless the track is much more up towards Appalachia Bay up here, the surge implications from that onshore flow, everything's pushing up into this direction. The surge potential for Tampa Bay and vicinity is significant, unlike anything we have seen in a long, long time. So I need you to focus on impacts. What are those impacts going to be? Well, we know that the biggest one in terms of loss of life potential is storm surge. And a lot of people are hitting the site. I can't even fathom. Look at this. I can't even get the graphic to pull up. So many people are hitting it. All right. So the peak surge forecast, and this will get updated once we get a better idea of how strong Idalia becomes. I'm of the opinion, because I've done this long enough, that these numbers, some of them are going to be higher. In the red, bad, up to 11 feet. The orange, pretty darn bad as well, 6 to 9 feet. And I also need to remind you, in case you didn't know, these numbers are above ground level, not some reference to tide or anything like that anymore. These are above ground level. And these are with areas of onshore flow, and the worst of the surge will be where the core comes in, like we saw with Ian, and that incredible video from Fort Myers Beach from Max Olson, our video from Michael in Mexico Beach. Hey, look, some of my colleagues out there, they do this kind of work too. Want to give credit where credit is due because it can help us understand what could happen. We saw Fort Myers last year from our camera, not in the core necessarily of the landfall part of Ian, but certainly in the right front quadrant area, and the Caloosahatchee River overflowed and flooded Fort Myers and vicinity. A similar occurrence could happen with Tampa and surrounding areas because the flow is going to come in right off the Gulf, right aimed at all of this. And this shape up here just catches everything. So water is going to be the biggest problem. This is the time when you are told to evacuate and you're in one of those zones, you got to go. And I know that's so easy for me to say. I am with you. I understand evacuation is hard, but please just get a few miles away. Whatever it takes, use the shelters, use the hotels. You don't have to drive to Atlanta necessarily, all right? Seriously, or Tallahassee or whatever. But just get away from these low-lying areas. Help people if you can. because the surge, even 4 to 7 feet, doesn't sound like much. I don't know too many 7-foot tall people. I'm not 7 feet tall. And then on the East Coast, we do have a problem because there could be onshore flow as this comes through and leaves the coast, where we start getting some surge problems down there on that concave coastline. So a lot to take in here regarding the impacts from Idalia. All right? Rainfall, also going to be a big problem. Anywhere in yellow is 4 inches plus. This will change. Everything's going to change, but this is what it looks like as of the 11 a.m. advisory. Much of the southeast here is going to experience some very heavy rainfall. And freshwater flooding is a really, really big problem. So be prepared for that. Be prepared. Real quick, you can check out our partner, Quick Dam. This is a video. They have incredible flood mitigation products. They are available right now until they run out, because people are going to be going to the stores very quickly. And this is where you can get these things. They are not for salt water. Okay, they don't work in salt water, but they do work with freshwater flooding concerns. No need to worry about sandbags, all kinds of stuff here. These folks, I've met them in person at their facility up in Rhode Island. That is what this is for right here, the freshwater flooding. That can really help you. So please understand the totality of the impacts: storm surge at the coast, the freshwater flooding, and then the wind. What's the wind going to be like? Well, that is very difficult to convey to people unless you've ever been in a hurricane. And each hurricane is different. And it's dependent upon whether or not you're in the core, if the core is well developed, if it's more diffuse and spreading out. A lot of different things change the outcome for how wind can affect people. You have the bands that are going to be coming in, and those are going to produce tornadoes and water spouts. There's just a lot that's going to be happening in a very short amount of time between now and Wednesday, mid-morning or so, maybe early afternoon, that we all need to be ready for. So the totality of the impacts, it's right here. I can't, I want to get this online as soon as I can for you, but I want to go over some of these highlights. It's at the Hurricane Center website, hurricanes.gov. Easy to do it that way, hurricanes.gov or nhc.noaa.gov. And you just click on Idalia right there. Look at they're just getting hammered. You click right on the icon and boom, it jumps down to this nice dashboard of the infographics that they have provided. Use it, read it, understand it, share it, and this is what you need to know. By the way, local products right here, very, 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 very helpful, very important. You can click on that and it'll take you to a page with the various local weather service pages and the impacts. As an example, let's just look at Tampa Bay area threats and impacts. Very easy to understand. I bet everything is just absolutely hammered. Really, really solid graphics. You're going to have to be patient and at sometimes, like me here, that servers are going to get overloaded. If I can get my telestrator to work again, that would be fantastic. So yes, you can go to the Hurricane Center site, and that local product is very, very helpful. All right, back to the track map here. Let's zoom in and let's understand, again, talking about the impacts total everywhere on the right side of the track, wherever that is. And this could shift. It could be more up here. It could be more down here. But what do we got down here? Where we know we have Cedar Key, we have Homosassa Springs, we have Crystal River up here, Yankeetown, Horseshoe Beach, other areas. Yeah, a very, very devastating storm surge will be coming in, and it is going to penetrate inland, maybe even right up to some of these highways. That is going to be shocking to people. I really think it is. I know the fire chief up here at Cedar Key. We're going to be working to set up some equipment in his town. What a beautiful area too. But down south, do not think that just because that line right there is well offshore that Tampa Bay is off the hook. You're not. This is going to get a lot of water pushed into it as Idalia comes by. Real quick, remember in 2020, what a year, right? Ada in mid-November, that went by as a dying tropical storm, and it made landfall up there near Horseshoe Beach. This is like Ada, but on the farthest other end of the scale. And Ada put surge into Tampa Bay area. We had cameras out for it. That was pretty impressive. You watched it, you were like, wow, that's something else. This will be several feet higher than that, because this is going to go by as an intensifying hurricane. Speaking of that, a couple of technical things I want to talk about. Back over here to the Hurricane Center page. I want to read the discussion now that it is out. And I want to talk about this part right through here. All right? Although there is still some moderate northwesterly, and they need to have the word shear in there. Everybody is, I'm sure, very frazzled. They left the word shear out. It's okay. Although there is still some moderate northwesterly shear over the storm, intensification seems likely during the next 12 to 18 hours, and Idalia is forecast to become a hurricane during that time. By Tuesday, the environment over the eastern Gulf of Mexico is expected to become more conducive for strengthening. Steady to rapid intensification is predicted beginning Tuesday, while Idalia traverses the warm waters of the eastern Gulf and the upper level environment becomes more favorable. The intensity forecast again calls for Idalia to reach major hurricane strength before landfall along the Gulf Coast of Florida. Rapid intensification. That is very, very important. This could be intensifying right up to the point of landfall. So again, sounding the alarms. That word, scare tactics, I don't think it's a very easy or an effective tool. This is more of an awareness thing. I want you to be aware, not scared. I want you to be educated, not scared. This should be your wake-up call, and it's an alarm when you see rapid intensification. This is serious. When the Hurricane Center says that, and we've seen the trend with Harvey, Michael, we're talking rapid intensifiers right before landfall. Laura, Zeta did it. Last year, Ian did it. All in the Gulf of Mexico, all in the last 6 years. And then really between 06, after the 05 season, until 2017, we had no major hurricanes, Category 3 or higher, hitting the United States at all. And then all of a sudden, these last 6 years, we've had several, 6 or something like that, that have intensified right up to landfall. Sorry, not done yet. So, yes, Tampa Bay, this is your hurricane too, not just up here. You see this? Just forget about that. Think about all the impacts through here. I beg of you. I know what's coming. I've seen it enough. I know what's coming. So our plan is going to be, I'm over here in Orlando right now, and I'm going to head over here to the Brandon area and meet up with some colleagues, and then we're going to start setting out equipment all along this area over the next day or so. That equipment is comprised of remotely operated camera systems that we can put up, and they stream live video. We've been doing this since 05. We started it. I'm very proud to say. Try not to brag about it, but yes, we started this whole thing way back in 05. Some of you have been with us through that evolution. And in addition to the live cams, we're going to have several GoPro cameras in specially designed cases that will have a battery pack that will allow them to run for as long as 36 hours. That will capture high definition, and that captures no matter what, because we may lose, and in fact I expect that we will lose connectivity to some of our remote cameras. We have a bunch. I think we have at least a dozen of the live cams. In addition to all of that, we brought 2 of our state-of-the-art weather stations that has an anemometer from R.M. Young, wind tested in tunnels when they built them to 200 plus miles per hour. So these are the real deals. We're going to anchor these to a couple of bridges that we're looking at. They go right on the Jersey wall, the side of the bridge there. They get clamped down. They will have a camera on them looking at the anemometers. We did that starting, ironically enough, in this area 2 years ago with Elsa that came up here because we needed to be able to look at that weather station because we were having problems with them after Laura. That's a whole long story. So we're going to have 2 weather stations with wind data and pressure data, and then we're going to pepper the area with additional pressure sensors that will record pressure data. So we're throwing a lot at this in terms of scientific analysis, real-time video, and information that we can share with the National Hurricane Center, the State of Florida EOC, as well as FEMA Region 4. We have contacts throughout. We will be working with them. How do we pay for all this? It is extraordinarily expensive, and we do it through crowdfunding, Patreon. And that is how you can be a part of this effort. I mean, I wish I could give it away for free, but I keep coming up short on those Mega Ball and Powerball numbers. And even if I won, yes, I absolutely would still do this, and I would make it for free. Failing that, we depend on you, the community. All that equipment that I just rattled off to you, 100% of it was funded by the people through Patreon and our project as a whole. We've been doing this for 18 years, Patreon the last 5 or so, and it is remarkable. So it is a you help me, I help you kind of thing. I've said that before, the old Jerry Maguire line, right? But it seriously is an amazing thing what crowdfunding can do. And in return for that investment, you have access to what we put out there, from the Discord to the live cams, the podcast episodes that we've got like in downtime, the interactive maps, and much, much more. This is the Patreon site. You go there, and it's the $10 level and up that gets the full access to everything. And but even at the $4 level, you can join our Discord and at least become part of the community. And hey, look, every little bit helps. And you can even be on Patreon without choosing a membership and just be there. And I can post stuff to Patreon exclusively as well. That's something new that they have allowed, where you don't have to have a membership where you're paying something just to join up. It's pretty cool that they've done that. This is what the HurricaneTrack Insider homepage looks like. You would log in with your Patreon email. Live cameras right up there takes you to the dashboard, but we also have that amazing interactive map. These are our permanent cameras that are set up. Example, this is one down in Fort Lauderdale at Craig Setzer's place. You guys know Craig down there, right? This is from Fort Lauderdale. This is what we do with the investment that you provide through Patreon. And we will have a ton of cameras set up all throughout this area, peppered against the coastline. We're talking Crystal River, Homosassa, Cedar Key, Horseshoe Beach, Yankeetown, and then in and around Tampa Bay. And again, I mentioned our wonderful partner, Quick Dams. I cannot thank them enough. Follow them on Twitter at QuickDam. Hoping to get a recorded video from their owner and president, Carol. Such a wonderful crew up there, working hard. They got a bunch of stuff out to California. You know, that's the difference between a sponsorship, you know, and an endorsement, which are fine, and a partnership. You know, I had that great partnership with Lowe's all those years, with Sprint all those years, and things change, economies change. Now we are crowdfunded, and I'm also working with Quick Dams, and of course, Fox Weather. They're going to be utilizing our stuff, and you can watch Fox Weather on a variety of methods, including on YouTube, but the easiest thing is just to get the Fox Weather app. It is amazing, and our stuff will be in that as well. So a lot of coordination. We have a great team of people on the back end that'll be helping. You all know who you are, and we are ready to go. Tomorrow is going to be the big setup day. We'll do some stuff today. Later today, we will be streaming live on YouTube, so be sure to put that notification button into action on YouTube, and you'll get notified when we go live. At least that's the hope. All right? So let me get this online for you. I know I covered a lot. Very dynamic, very changeable, also very, very serious. This is what we do. We do it, I think, better than anybody on the internet in terms of this type of project. And I'm excited to get out and do what we do to hopefully help people to understand the impacts of this important, potentially historic hurricane. It's not a hurricane yet, but we know what's coming. All right. Again, I am Mark Sudduth from all of us at the HurricaneTrack team. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next in a few hours once we are live on YouTube.